Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. What's going on, guys? Now, this is the post-fight review for Danny Garcia versus Keith Thurman. It was a good fight. I just literally got off my 2 or 3 hour live stream, so if you weren't there for it, you missed out. We had a hell of a time. We had over damn near 250 people watching at one time, so it was a great time, man. But as for the fight itself, Danny Garcia versus Keith Thurman, I scored the fight 7-5 for Danny Garcia, and I want to tell you why before I actually get into my little breakdown of this fight. Danny Garcia, in those first couple rounds, was hurt. Didn't go down. He got stunned by a couple punches, but as the fight wore on, a lot of those punches that were very eye-catching, that sounded hard, Danny was catching them, he was slipping them, and he was landing his own subtle shots to the body. And I feel that the Showtime commentary was a bit biased. He showed He showed some solid counter punches throughout the night, and definitely I think Danny won the last 3 rounds, because in the last 3 rounds, Thurman began to circle the ring a lot more, and he wasn't doing or landing any real meaningful shots. He was pity pat boxing, and pity pat boxing is fine in certain fights, but not in fights of this magnitude. We're talking 2 undefeated welterweights in their prime for you in a unification title fight. You need to step to each other, and he needs to make it more of a fight, and I don't think he did. So he got the win. I can't really take nothing from him. He's a great fighter. He's a great ambassador for boxing, but I thought Danny won the fight. I thought Danny, as the fight wore on, because of his counterpunching, because of his underrated defensive ability that even I underrate sometimes, he was able to lower very slowly but surely. He lowered not so much the punch output of Keith Thurman, but the effective punches landed by Keith Thurman, and that's very important. If you look at the fight, after the fight, Danny Garcia's face looked nice and clean, which is very rare because Danny Garcia has a light complexion. He looked like trash after the Herrera fight, as far as his face goes. And I know you don't judge faces on fights, because if that's true, then Quad just beat Roman Gonzalez. But I'm just saying, a lot of the punches that Keith landed that were significant were very early in the fight, and I believe that even though Keith maybe had more foot speed and he was controlling the tempo of the fight, the guy who was landing the more effective shots in more rounds was Danny Garcia. And there was a reason Keith Thurman fought a lot more cautious in the fight as opposed to Sean Porter. He was very wary of Danny's reflexes and counterpunching, and I think this is why I really hate saying this, because I think it's one of the corniest things boxing fans say in close fights. But when they say it was a close fight that could have went either way, and it depends on what you're looking for and all that corny stuff, that's one of the stupidest statements I ever heard. I hate hearing it, but this is actually one of those fights where it was close, it could have went either way, and it really depends on what you value more in your scoring. If you're valuing the punches that are more effective but maybe aren't as much, then you gotta give this fight to Danny Garcia. But if you're looking at the punches that just landed in general, you gotta give it to Keith. But I feel Danny's shots were more telling. There was a reason why Keith didn't come forward, because he was, number one, he was most successful on his back foot, and number 2, Danny was able to catch him anytime he was in front of him. So the counterpunching had Keith worried. And if you look at now where Keith and Danny are at, and Danny now has a loss on his record, so we can't talk about it. I'm just joking. But Danny's at a point in his career now where he's still a top-level welterweight. I think this fight, to me, even though he didn't get the decision on paper, he legitimized himself in my eyes, being able to be that effective in there with Thurman. As for Keith, I still think, as far as guys like Kell Brook will beat Keith Thurman, and I thought Sean Porter beat Keith Thurman as well. So I like to see a Sean Porter rematch if Sean's victorious as the next fight. And Earl Spence is there as well if he can beat Kell Brook. So the welterweight division is interesting. Manny Pacquiao's still around. I'm kind of boring, I know, right now with my emotions, but I am a bit disappointed because I thought Danny Garcia really did win this fight. I think I genuinely believe he won this fight because of Keith's inability to sustain an effective attack as the fight went on. Danny was the more effective fighter as the fight wore on, and I think a lot of those, it's kind of like what happened with Granado's Broner. Granado's wasn't as flashy as Broner, but Broner's flurry of punches and whatnot, it was able to catch the eyes of the judges, and it's what got him the decision. Now, I don't think this fight is as bad as Granado's Broner, because I thought Granado's Broner was a highway robbery, and Granado's won easily. But this fight right here was close, and it could have went either way. Am I disappointed in the decision? Yes, I am. Could it have went either way? Yes, it can. Yes, it could have, and it did. So it was a split decision. I don't think any fighter really has anything to hang their hat on, and we'll see what happens from here. But as far as the welterweight division goes, I mean, it's wide open. Keith Thurman might be a unified champion, but he's still very beatable. He has not had a sensational performance in his last 2 fights. Great fights, we give him all the credit in the world for pulling it out, but they have not been the sensational Keith Thurman fights we saw when he was beating Diego Chavez and Jesus Soto Karass and those guys. So I think Kell Brook spanks all these guys except Manny Pacquiao, and I'm sticking with that opinion. So let me know what you guys think about this fight. I almost forgot this, but I gotta give her a shout out because she asked me to do it. So shout out to Serena, my girl Serena. Didn't get a chance to watch my stream, but I told her I'd give her a shout out. So shout out to you, Serena. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about this fight down below. Comment, subscribe, do all the good stuff. Give me your take on the fight. Maybe you agree with me, maybe you disagree with me. Maybe we saw a different fight. Either way, I want to hear from you guys. What do you think about this fight? Where does Keith Thurman go from here? Where does Danny Garcia go from here? And what does this do for the welterweight division moving forward? Leave your comments down below. Take the time to subscribe, and you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care guys.